Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Venkatam Tyalapalli, pediatric orthopedician and Ilusara specialist, consultant at Rainbow Children's Hospital, Banjara Hills and Kukatpalli. Hope everyone is doing good. Today, I'm going to speak about bone and joint infections in children. So, we are going to speak about bone and joint infections in children. So, musculoskeletal infections could be osteomyelitis, septic arthritis, or combination of both, or sometimes present as pyomyositis, which could be just primary or associated with bone and joint infection underlying, or it may complicate. Rarely you see spondylodiscitis, which is only in 1 to 2% of children will be seen. But what we see regularly is a pyomyositis. So who are prone for infections? As we know, preterm babies, low birth weight babies, and twin babies are prone for infection because of their low immunity levels. Another common cause could be respiratory tract infection, preceding trauma or skin infections, sickle cell disease, immunodeficiency, penetrating wounds, or children who are living with families who are living with animals, or contact with pulmonary tuberculosis, or rarely after surgeries when we put the implants inside the body. So children of different ages present with will be infected with different organisms under 3 months of age, between 3 months to 5 years of age, and older than 5 years of age. The common organisms what we see regularly is Staph aureus, Streptococcal species, E. coli, and other organisms. So different children present with different complaints, and the smaller babies will be presenting with various complaints. Like most of these children may have fever or may not be there, and parents will be presenting with swelling regarding the children. Like while changing diapers or clothes, the child may be irritable, crying, overfeeding, localized warmth presented by the parents. If in case of grown-up kids, they might be presenting with abdominal pain, sometimes vomiting or constipation. If involvement of the pelvis, in case of involvement of the pelvis or the spine part, sometimes in case of the lower limbs, like hip joints or knee joint involvement, they will be complaining of pain and difficulty in walking or standing, or flexion deformity of the limbs noted. So once the clinical diagnosis is made, and we need to confirm it whether the infection is there or not. So so what are the basic tests we will be doing? CBC is a common test, and CRP and the ESR. And before starting antibiotics, we will be taking the blood sample for culture and sensitivity. And sometimes sometimes we will be doing CPK and procalcitonin levels. And radiograph in the early infection stage may not be that useful, but we will be able to see soft tissue swelling. And in delayed presentation, like 2 to 3 weeks of time, we will be seeing bony destruction with periosteal reaction. And ultrasound being the gold standard, we need to have good pediatric radiologists who will be guiding us in proper location of the infection site. Like if the child presents early, there will be just swelling, that is nothing but synovitis. Or if it delayed presentation for like 1 or 2 weeks, there will be swelling along with some amount of mild collection, which may be 2 or 3 ml. Or delayed presentation, there could be significant amount of collection along with the swelling. Once the collection has been confirmed, simultaneously you need to do the Doppler also. Sometimes rarely children present with the cellulitis features where deep vein thrombosis will be there, and in case of infection there is increased vascularity along the involved bone segment. And MRI also being a gold standard, not in all cases we will be doing MRI, only in cases where we like in deep joints, where extent of bone and joint infection or the soft tissue spread we may not be knowing, like spine region or the pelvis region or the deep hip region. So in those cases, MRI is quite helpful to know the extent of infection pus collection. And once the MRI has been done, And we need to plan for the, like, if there is no collection, we need to go for the medical management. But before that, in some cases, like medical management is a multidisciplinary approach where the pediatric orthopedician, a radiologist, sometimes microbiologist also helpful. And in case of DVT, some deep vein thrombosis is there or pulmonary thrombosis there, we'll also take the help of hematologist. So if on ultrasound basis, if there is no collection, the medical manager is taken over by the pediatrician, and we start with the IV antibiotics. And IV antibiotics approximately will be giving up to 2 weeks of time. And this antibiotics will be changed based on sensitivity, the blood cultures or the pus culture after surgical drainage. And as the child is clinically improving, we'll change, and every third day we'll do the ultrasound scan, CBP, CRP, and ESR to check, because in the initial stages the ultrasound shows no collection. So once we start with the antibiotics, there might be chance of collection developing inside the joint or bone region, because the function of the antibiotics takes average 5 to 7 days of time. So infection already established cases will not respond immediately once we start the antibiotics. So regularly every third day we need to get the ultrasound done, CBP and CRP and ESR to check whether the ongoing antibiotic treatment is effective or not. And if this is medical management in case of ultrasound showing no collection, when ultrasound shows collection, we need to drain it up. Drain and thorough wash has to be given, and same medical management taken care of the pediatricians. Sometimes ultrasound shows minimal 1 or 2 cc of collection. In those cases, we need not go and drainage. Simple under ultrasound guidance, we can aspirate that part and send for culture and sensitivity. That will be very much helpful. And other thing is, when there is ultrasound based, there is no collection, we go with the medical management. Ultrasound based, there is collection, we'll surgically drain and added IV management will go on. But in some cases where there is a little collection which cannot be drainaged, and the child will not be improving over time as expected, and the child might be having fever spike on and off frequently. In those cases, it's a difficult task whether to go and drainage or to continue with the ongoing medical management. So it is very difficult to take the decision in those cases. So this this kind of confusion, especially in the hip joints and shoulder joints, is significant, because hip joints are prone for rapid damage of the joints, because the hip joints are intra-articular, the metaphyseal part is intra-articular, whereas when compared to other ankle joints or the elbow joints or the knee joints are extra-articular, the metaphyseal part is extra-articular. So in these cases, like shoulder or hip infections, if you have any doubt and the child is not clinically improving, better to go drainage it and give thorough wash. That will be very much helpful, and the child will be improving in no matter of time. And another one more important thing is regarding the antibiotics. We need to start with stronger antibiotics like clindamycin, rifampicin, or vancomycin, or anything other than the penicillin or cephalosporin, because nowadays most of the cephalosporins or the penicillins are quite resistant, or the response they generate taking a longer time. During this time, already established infection causes rapid damage of the joint and is very difficult to regenerate that joint. So better to have vigorous treatment rather than starting with basic antibiotics. And these basic antibiotics can be given a second line of treatment. And I like to share a few of my examples, starting with the lower limbs, because lower limbs are the prone for much damage, being weight bearing joints. This is a 1 month child. You can see on the left hip, it flexed, swelling is there. Ultrasound gives only synovitis. So we have treated this child with medical management, and over a period of 3 weeks, the child has completely improved. But when the follow-up X-ray has been done, there is increase in the joint space, but the joint articular surface of the acetabulum and the femoral head is well maintained, but the joint space has increased. So over in the subsequent weeks, there is some amount of damage to the metaphyseal end of the femoral head is seen. So we have done the ultrasound in this. This is normal ultrasound where it is well maintained, and this is acetabulum, and the femoral head is sitting in the cavity, and this is on the right side. And on the left side, we can see the head is slipping out. It's nothing but subluxation. So young children below 4 to 6 months of age, we go with the parabolic harness, and parabolic harness try to contain the hip joint over a period of time. You can see this one in the frog leg position. We have put the parabolic harness, and regularly we follow. Over a period of few weeks, the hip joint get contained and it will be very stable. And this other child, 6 months here, 6 months, female child. Sorry. In this child, we can't go with the parabolic harness. So after 6 months, we need to go with the hip spica. This child, right hip involved. This child, septic artery treated with surgical drainage, and the hip joint has been dislocated. And you can see the epiphysis in the normal side, left side, it's visible. In case of the right side, the epiphysis is not visible. So in case of infection, the ossification of the epiphysis is quite delayed. So dislocation with delayed ossification, some amount of damage to the hip joint is noted. So after complete treatment, like complete burnout of the infection, after 3 months of time, we have taken the child into the OT, put a needle inside the joint. The contrast has been sent, and when the contrast has been sent, the head is well maintained. Like the size of the head, you can see complete into the acetabulum. So after confirming the head is there is no damage of the head, we have put the hip spica, and this hip spica will be staying around 2 to 3 months of time. And immediately after the surgery, we need to do CT scan to confirm whether the hip joint is sitting in the acetabulum or not. This is one of my first case getting into the practice. This the outcome was very bad in this child. This is 7-day preterm male child, twin child. I got a call at 7 days. Ultrasound shows 20 ml of thick pus, and it turned out to MRSA positive, and the child was already on CPAP, and it was MRSA positive, and the child was on peptides. As I told you, starting with basic antibiotics like penicillins or cephalosporin is not effective nowadays. Just you start with the high-end antibiotics, that too preferably 2 antibiotics you need to have. And when you don't know the organism is gram positive or gram negative, better you need to have a both coverage, like linezolid and meropenem, something like. So when I opened this joint, already the head has been damaged. In the subsequent follow-ups, the head completely reabsorbed, and the acetabulum has been damaged, dislocated. So after the infection has been completely burnt out, we have put the child on hip spica, but subsequent follow-ups seen that the head has been damaged and it's proximally migrated. Complete calcification of the hip joint has been noted. Subsequently, I lost the follow-up with the child. So complications is like nightmare in case of especially the hip joints. So early diagnosis, proper management to save the joint is very important. So these are the different types of hip damages has been showing. There's the femoral head, the hip joint, the acetabulum and the proximal end of the femur has been damaged with subluxation. Here you can see lytic lesion in the proximal end of the metaphyseal region of the femur, and here there is bifid splitting of the metaphysis of the femur. And this one is the complete head has been damaged and is dislocated. So different kinds of damage will be seen in the hip joints. Depend, like if they present early, we can save the joint. With the delayed presentation, with lot of pus collection and depending upon the organism, it's quite difficult to save the joint, even how vigorous the treatment could be. And this is a 4 years female child, came to the OPD just with the limb, nothing else, asymptomatic, no fever, nothing, just limb. So when we have done X-ray, there was showing some amount lytic lesion in the acetabulum part. So when we have done the MRI, as I told you, MRI, like in the deeper joints, will show the extent of bone damage and extent of muscle involvement. In this, you can see in the acetabulum, dome of the acetabulum, big lytic lesion. This is the coronal plane and this is the axial plane. Complete acetabulum roof has been damaged. So we have opened the joint. It will be major surgery and thoroughly curated, and within few months, complete the lytic lesion has been healed. You can see on that. The child has been kept in bed rest for 2 months, because if the child started early mobilizing, this part of the wall will collapse, shatter, and the hip joint will dislocate, and we are not going to construct the acetabulum. It's very difficult. So bed rest is mandatory in this kind of children. The same child after 1 year followed up the limb, no complaints again. So when we have done the MRI, which shows a lytic lesion on the right side. Previously it was on the left side, now it is on the right side. A small lytic lesion we are treated with medical management. As I told you, we need to have good radiologist. So this child with delayed presentation, 4 months old male child, treated outside by the orthopedician, and as it is a late presentation, the MRI and the X-ray shows periosteal reaction. So they thought that it's in the healing phase. So when we have done the ultrasound, even the MRI was available. Ultrasound showed collection, and we have marked this place for the surgical exposure to make it easy. When we opened it, we could find 20 ml of pus, and it turned out to MRSA positive. And intraoperatively, we had pathological fracture. The bone was very thin, literally without touching, it was broken. So luckily, with no matter, they actually put the child on hip spica. Luckily, within no matter of 5 weeks, there was a good healing. And it's rarely we come across that pathological fractures with MRSA positive and so much porotic bone healing very fast. That happens only in children. And this is another example, 5 months male child with delayed presentation of 3 weeks. Lot of periosteal reaction you can see. When we opened it, complete the periosteum muscles throughout the length of the shaft of the femur are exposed. It's free. So after thorough curettage over a period of time, the child has improved. You can see a lot of periosteal reaction with broadening of the proximal end of the metaphyseal. Luckily, there was no joint damage, joint involvement, either the knee or a hip joint. This is another example. Whenever like different kinds of full length involvement of the femur, you can see, and lytic lesion in the proximal end of the femur, you can see. In the grown up children with lot of shaft damage like chronic osteomyelitis, in those cases we will be preparing custom designed antibiotic nail, which will be placed inside the hip joint, added IV antibiotics for longer duration of time to get rid of the infection. Over a period of 2 months, we'll remove this nail. Once the infection has come down, we'll treat it other way, reconstruction procedure. And this is the 8 months male child with septic arthritis of knee. You can see in the lateral view of the X-ray, there is significant shadow without any bony damage. We have drainage has been done, thick furulent pus has been drained out. But subsequent follow-ups, we have seen that there is arrest in the proximal end of the tibia. On the lateral side, you can see the slope part. There is a growth arrest that has been noted. The deformity will be developing over a period of time. So early diagnosis, proper treatment can prevent this kind of growth arrest complications. This other 1.5 year male child with osteomyelitis, complete destruction of the tibia. After the infection has completely treated, we excised part of the segment of the tibia, which has been completely destroyed. We have transferred the tibula from the same side distal end and placed as a graft and put a nail inside. Over a period of time, the healing was good at the distal end, but there was a fracture of the implant. So, and this part went into proximal part went into non-union. So we have removed the implant and put the bone graft. Subsequently, there was good healing. This is one of the complicated surgery and went well, lucky. And this is the 8 years girl child, a syndromic child with sensory deficit. She was having chronic swelling of the second toe with mild discharge. So we have as there is sensory deficit, locally we have removed this tip of the bone, which is necrosed. After removal of this part, the healing started well, and the child was on antibiotics for 4 weeks of time. The wound healed well. This is very important because the child used to have frequent injuries because of sensory deficit. This is one of the other example. Just trying to cover all bones. 4 years male child with osteomyelitis of calcaneum. If you see on the right side, it's normal one. The left side, over a period of time, the superior upper part of the calcaneum has been completely destroyed. This is another important case. A 6-year female child came to the OPD came to the ER walking. She was stable, complaining of mild abdominal pain. Suddenly, later on, she went into septic shock. An emergency laparotomy has been done. Over a period of few days, she was improving, but she was complaining of low backache. So initial MRIs of the pelvis and the spine appear to be normal, but the child was complaining of dragging pain and difficulty in standing. But what we noticed, with ongoing treatment, there was slow improvement. But after 3rd week, we have done the repeat lumbar spine MRI and the pelvis MRI. Shows lot of marrow edema, and you can see the myositis and some amount of pyositis pockets inside on the inner side of the iliac vein, both on the left side. But clinically, the child was absolutely normal, but with mild length. Because the child already had previous other comorbid conditions, like she has been passing through abdominal laparotomy, etc., etc. So after we have put the child on medical management for 6 weeks. So after 6 weeks of time, when we are taking the extra, we have seen lytic lesion in this one. So whenever it's a lytic lesion, you need to think about the malignancy too. So even though the child had infection history, so we have done the MRI. When compared to previous MRI, the muscle edema has been decreased, but there is significant marrow changes has been noted in the sacrum, left side, hemipelvis, sacrum and the iliac vein, because the bony changes are visible only after longer duration of time. So whatever the first pocket like this has been suspected, still it was there. So to confirm whether it is an infection or the malignancy, we have done biopsy, and it turned out to be acute on chronic osteomyelitis. Even after 2.5 months of treatment, the culture report shows MRSA positive. So based on the advice of the microbiologist, we have put the child on daptomycin. It's going on sterile, and this has taken almost 3 months of time. Still, the child is under treatment. So any infection, bone infections, it has to be treated aggressively. And luckily, it's this infection, this iliac wing infection is away from the tridated cartilage or the sacroiliac joint. If it is nearby the tridated cartilage, the child will be having lot of growth disturbances. And this is one of the major important case what rarely we come across. The child, 7 years male child, admitted in the PSU with cellulitis of the left thigh, right thigh, and we have done the MRI in this child, and ultrasound has been done. Ultrasound shows deep vein thrombosis, complete femoral vein extending onto external iliac vein, and the MRI shows complete hemipelvis. Marrow edema and myositis changes are visible. So this child has, like, in this in this child, the deep vein thrombosis was there, myositis was there, and infection was established in nearby joints. Like you can see the marrow changes in that one. The mild septic arthritis is osteomyelitis of the almost 2/3 of the femur. So the child was almost in the hospital for 3 to 4 weeks of time. Luckily there was no collection. Similar cases we have seen a lot, like pulmonary thrombosis, deep vein thrombosis, and multifocal osteomyelitis like shoulder joint, humerus, and the elbow joint. Most of these children are very critical. Mortality rate will be very high. If one of the studies like done by the Grace, 93 out of 93 patients who are treated with a deep vein thrombosis, 4 had pulmonary thrombosis, and they were expired. So these children had to be treated very carefully for longer duration of time. And this multifocal osteomyelitis, what I like to say, this 8-month female child had like osteomyelitis of the proximal end of the humerus on right side and left side, and the forearm part distal end, and then the femur also, distal end of the femur around the knee joint. We have drained all 4 sets single time, and subsequently after 3 or 4 days, again the child had collection noted in the right axilla. So in these kind of children with multifocal involvement, immunological assessment has to be done. And this is coming to upper limbs. This is shoulder joint. You can see the swelling. This is treated with conservatively, but over a period of time, some amount of damage of the proximal end of the humerus has been noted. These 2 pictures of the other children who are treated with surgery with delayed presentation. You can see a lot of damage of the proximal end of the humerus with broadening and meta reaction, and the damage of the proximal end of the humerus. You can see the shoulder joint has been completely damaged here. It's completely dislocated. The simple one is a 4-year male child with pyomyositis of this left scapular region. The CT scan has been done. No change, only soft tissue swelling has been. This has been drained out, and the child improved well. This again 2 months female child presented after 10 days with complete destruction of the ulna. You can see that, and with a pathological fracture. We have drained it out, and over a period of time, it has healed well. This is a small 4-year female child with crush injury of the fingertip, and over a period of time, the child was having slow discharge of the pus. So when we got the X-ray done, there is small necrotic segment. We have removed that one. You can see that after removing and debulking procedure has been done, shortening of this part has been done, the child improved. And lastly, this is the 4-year female male child. In the month of February, got admitted with abdominal pain and constipation. Blood culture shows staph species, and the child was in hospital for 3 weeks of time, and child recovered well. And few days back, while playing, she got injured, and since then she was complaining of severe pain, backache. And when X-ray has been taken, the complete damage of the L2, L1, and L1 vertebral bodies. And when MRI has been done, you can see the bodies have been damaged and the disc pair is missing. So this child is under evaluation for the TB or because of the osteomyelitis. Thank you very much. Hello. Good evening, Subramanian Garu. I've seen your question. Thanks for that. I don't advise MRI in all cases. Only the children who are not improving with ongoing treatment, you can have MRI, no doubt in that, because sometimes underlying pyomyositis could be there, which is a triggering factor for the cellulitis. So what I do is ongoing treatment with elevation of the involved segment, like leg, something like elevation with chimeral foot will be helpful most of the times. In spite of that, and the shade is not improving and subsequent ultrasound follow-ups has been done, then you can go with the MRI. No issues with that one.